Namaskar and good evening, traders. Um, Tuesday evening, 17th of Jan, 8:16 p.m. Indian Standard Time. First, I was not able to share my market views over the last two sessions. I saw some comments that you were waiting for my views. It feels really good to know that my work is waited for and appreciated. Thank you. And sorry that I couldn't update you from my end over the last two sessions. Now let's take a look at the market. And I would say volatile is the word. Choppiness, seesaw, yo-yo, volatile, whatever you say. If I take a look at the daily time frame, negative bar, negative candle body, positive, negative, positive, engulfing, almost engulfing, last engulfing kind of a behavior, positive engulfing. So it's all over the place. It's all over the place. It's doing everything, and not easy. Not easy because of the extent of the bounce back, the extent of the retracements, the extent of the follow through bounce backs, lack of short term. Lack of clarity in terms of the short-term trend makes the life for short-term traders difficult. So be it. Today's move, I would use the word promising. It opened pretty well and gave a good move, but then started to slip quite sharply in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden a fresh spout of buying momentum coming in. Close very good, almost at the highest point of the day. Thanks to this, the short-term trend, for which I use a 75-minute time frame, has moved into an uptrend, and this kind of a move encourages and makes it possible for further upsides. And I think 18,200 is a possibility, unless if the index slips below this swing low, then we are back to this range again. So use this low, which is at 17,973, so around 17,980 kind of levels. If this slip comes tomorrow, then maybe structures will start to open up on the downside. And if it holds, especially not that, if this highs hold, then yes, 18,200 can be a possibility. So keep your eyes open on both the sides. Markets are yo-yoing on both the sides of the chart, and so I think it makes sense to be prepared for either direction. So 75-minute time frame has moved into an uptrend, which is good news. The daily time frame over here is trying to reverse. And I think I was having a discussion with our mentorship community members, and I was saying that this looks like what can be an Adam and Eve double bottom. It's way too early to predict that, but this is an Adam. This, as of now, is taking a U-ish kind of a behavior, so maybe, but that's a long story. That will only get triggered above 18,300. So daily time frame is trying to reverse, but the vulnerability comes from the weekly time frame. The fact that we have a cut, we have a one leg on the downside, post which it is essentially contracting, brings in vulnerability to the underlying trend, which is structurally positive. What I mean is a breakout is pending. A much needed breakout is pending. On the upside, it's a little above 18,200. On the downside, the recent lows, which is around 17,820. So 17,800, 18,200, 300 kind of levels, the breakout from the weekly time frame. It's little difficult to predict at this juncture. Momentum indicators are still not moved around, and so I think price will give us clarity on that, and that's why I would suggest keeping in mind the kind of situations and diversity that we have in terms of the trend. 75-minute time frame now goes up, daily time frame not sure, weekly consolidating, might open up on the downside. In this kind of a jumbled up situation, volatility generally tends to be higher, and we are every day experiencing it. I would suggest it's prudent that you trade carefully, cautiously, and be disciplined. Yes, whipsaws and drawdowns can be a phenomenon in this situation. It's just a phase that we have to go through. In fact, today only it happened with me that I had taken a position in one of the real estate counters on the short side, and it broke down and it followed through selling on the downside. But in a matter of few minutes, turn on a dime and just bounce back, very close to my anticipatory stop loss. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, it'll survive tomorrow. So we'll see. So these kind of movements, wherein all of a sudden a decent trade or a set of trades which were going well in your direction, can be on the short side, can be on the long side, all of a sudden turns around. So that's the kind of market we are in. Bank Nifty, by the way, is a weakling. No way the gains of Bank Nifty are close to what we noticed in Nifty, thanks to Larsen. But Bank Nifty definitely is a weakling. We did manage a bounce back, but not enough. This kind of a behavior on the daily time frame, I call this a decoy bar, and you will definitely remember on the 75-minute time frame Fibonacci confluence, don't you? And it's proving itself so well. Multiple times it is proving itself well, which means, I'll repeat, which means this is a strong zone of support for a 2000. If it breaks, that can be quite a break. So not exactly scary, but if these lows are broken, especially Bank Nifty, this kind of a fall on the downside is very, very easy. Like 40K will be a matter of a week maybe. So careful on that side, especially if you're a long only trader investor. So not impressive at all. Be it the 75-minute time frame daily or the weekly time frame, it's not looking that good, which means, this implies that if the market slips again and if these lows are broken, then you should eye banks on the short side. And in that case, I would suggest keep an eye on HDFC Bank, keep an eye on IndusInd Bank, keep an eye on Axis Bank also. SBI was a big crack into today's trade, and that's why you can see that the CNX PSU bank index is the biggest loser thanks to SBI. It's been a range expansion on SBI, so I would wait for a bounce back. But the three names that I took, Axis, HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank, only if today's low is breached, then the possibility of further downside opens up. I repeat, today's low needs to be broken tomorrow for downsides to come from these banking names. Now, amongst the rest of the sectoral indices, I have marked 4. CNX Pharma is making some serious attempts not to fall below that 12,600. Weekly chart is nothing great. Daily chart fairly volatile, but from a short-term point of view, if these lows are gone on the 75-minute time frame, it's this level, then you have a nice opening up on the downside. On the upside, of course, very clear on the 12,800, 12,900 highs, and so high seems to be a little difficult, but if we get a breakdown, I think CNX Pharma. Private banks, same story. If today's low is breached, you can see the lows acting as supports, just like Bank Nifty, and the names that I took, Axis, HDFC, IndusInd Bank. So now you get the hint that if these lows are broken, then those stocks. And then there is CNX Metal. The interesting thing about CNX Metal, a couple of things. I think the probability of a drop is quite high. Number one, on the weekly time frames, exceptional uptrend, but going through some signs of divergence with our momentum indicators. Short-term reading on the charts, we have a clean, good-looking bearish engulfing on the daily time frame, post which the market creates a decoy bar. For me, Heiken has started to deteriorate. Again, same story. Today's low means the way Bank Nifty, few banking names, pharma, metals are playing out. I think for tomorrow, max day after tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, by any chance, if these lows are compromised on the downside, I think we'll get one hell of of a nice swinging move on the downside. On the upside, I'm not too keen to trade the metals considering it's getting, cramped in this zone. I have some nice divergences playing out. We had some taste of serious volatility or choppiness recently, so I'm more keen to look for a shorting opportunity. However, talking about longs, the public sector enterprise index has created a nice range, has come multiple times close to that 4450, sub 4400. It keeps on getting some support. So please keep an eye for a breakout on the upside. Now, I do not have any kind of such divergences on the weekly charts. Weekly momentum is improving, and that's the reason I've marked it, I flagged it green, because expecting a possible breakout on the upside. That doesn't mean that it cannot break down. If the market breaks down, then these lows will be compromised. But looking at the weekly chart, it seems like there can be a move on the upside. Before I sign off, a look at the global markets, and it's not looking so good. The US markets Dow Jones is down 0.5% and it's at the day's low. It had a good run, 4 days of movement. S&P not as bad as Dow Jones, flat. Nasdaq negative. SGX Nifty, however, is not reflecting any of that sort. It's up 43 points above that 18,118. So our index manages to scale above 18K, 18,100, doing good. But let's see. I don't think that it's time to cheer up for bullishness or be extreme bearish. Let's wait and see whether these weekly lows, let's wait and see whether today's low is respected tomorrow or not. If today's lows are broken within those sectors and stocks that we discussed, and if you are a derivatives trader on the short side, you might take an attempt, right? Okay, thank you, and thank you again for making me realize that my work is appreciated. Take care of yourselves. Good night.